reading some Captain America. Unfortunately, this issue doesn't have a lot to do with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but hey ho. But yeah, I've just finished the second episode. I loved it. The foundations it is set in for the future episodes, it's just blown me away. And yeah, that's essentially what I want to talk about after having watched it. For me, again, like I mentioned in my first video regarding episode 1, we are already seeing how what we perceive to be morality can often conflict with what we see as law. It's all over this episode. But yeah, let's talk about the things which have interested me. So firstly, John Walker, the new Captain America, at the start of this episode. You can see he does actually feel loads of anxiety about stepping into the shoes of Captain America. As the episode progresses, bit by bit, he just becomes more and more obnoxious. And we see that with how he so readily admitted that he'd hacked Falcon's technology, how he hacked Red Wing to follow them. He seemingly could not see the moral dilemma in doing this, because as far as he's concerned, he's part of the government, so he is justified by law to do so. Now, we don't actually know who's actually the military person working above John Walker. I think that's going to be quite interesting to find out. But yeah, we saw how he could get obnoxious. We saw about how when he was questioned about whether he's ever jumped on a grenade, he says, yeah, I've jumped on a grenade, I used my helmet. And again, he tries to come across as humble, but the reality is, when Steve Rogers jumped on the grenade, he was prepared to die. He had no armor on, he was prepared for his chest to be blown wide open. John Walker, on the other hand, he had a helmet. Entirely separate set of circumstances. I loved the Jeep ride on the way to the airport, and Lamar reveals his code name as Battlestar, and the look of indignation on Bucky's face, similar to when he saw John Walker as Captain America on TV for the first time. I loved it. I loved how he just stopped that Jeep. He just had enough. He was just exasperated by the entire situation and just got out. And how could you blame him? Honestly, how could you blame him? Yeah. In Bucky's eyes, this had just reached farcical levels. And I loved it. And yeah, like John Walker and Lamar Hoskins, they may be trying to do the right thing, but they're going about it in all the wrong ways possible. And that's what I love about it. They're in that moral quandary, and I don't even think they realise it. We all know people in our lives who try to be as nice as possible, but actually they come off as really obnoxious. And I think this is exactly what John Walker and Lamar Hoskins are doing here. Another thing I loved, the relationship between Falcon and Bucky. This is essentially two brothers who are arguing over their dad's inheritance. Bucky was so desperate for Falcon to carry on that legacy of being Captain America. So desperate, because if Falcon carried on that legacy, that means Steve Rogers is making the right decisions. So that means when Bucky was murdering people for Hydra, but Captain America was the one person who snapped him out of it, because he knew Bucky still had good in him. If Falcon isn't fulfilling Steve Rogers' wishes, maybe Steve was wrong about Bucky, and man, I can see it. Bucky spent the last 50, 60, 70 years being a mindless assassin for Hydra. And Captain America was the only person who felt he could still do good. I think the most important thing though throughout this episode was there was a black Captain America in the 50s, and this has been whitewashed from history. And not just that, this black Captain America spent 30 years in prison, in an American prison. So there is institutional racism at the foundation of the Super Soldier Project. I think it's going to be fascinating to investigate. I'm so glad Marvel have gone here. What I love too was when Bucky and Falcon left his house. They're having an argument in an urban area, and the police arrive, and the police automatically assume Sam Wilson is the aggressor. In this argument between two friends, two brothers, they automatically assume Sam Wilson is the aggressor. And we all know why they assume that. And Bucky totally missed the point. Bucky should have advocated for Sam Wilson. But Bucky's still got that 1940s mindset. He does not see the real issues of what's going on. Even after they just visited a black Captain America who spent the last 30 years in prison. So yeah, Bucky didn't advocate for Falcon because he seemingly just doesn't quite get the issues which are in place. But I love that too, because from my experience as a person of colour, that is 100% what happens sometimes. Sometimes you need those with privilege around you to advocate on your behalf. Because if you try and advocate for yourself, you'll be labelled as the troublesome one or the one with a chip on your shoulder. And sometimes you do need your friends who have that privilege to get you out of a situation, because those with authority aren't always going to listen to you. It's sad but true. Unfortunately, the only reason they did leave Sam alone because they recognised he was an Avenger. And guess what? It's actually Bucky who ends up being arrested. I like how Marvel are setting things up for the future. We've already seen Wiccan and Speed, Scarlet Witches and Vision's children, who end up being young Avengers. And we also see Elijah Bradley, the grandson of the first black Captain America. Now he goes on to be a young Avenger as well. And we know there's going to be a Hawkeye series as well with Kate Bishop, and we know that she goes on to be a young Avenger. But where can I see this going now? I really hope they really go deep into this black Captain America issue and actually expose how, as much as we perceive things to be good now, the truth is for a lot of people it still isn't great. I really hope this series captures that. Oh, another thing, the Flag Smashers. Really interesting. I liked the fact actually a lot of people see them as good guys, and again we are talking about the law versus morality. Flag Smashers, as far as they see themselves, they're the heroes of this piece. And you can see they have empathy for each other, they genuinely care about each other, they have support to the different places they go to. Now, again, they're probably going about things totally the wrong way. In fact, they are. They are the bad guys. But in a discussion with them about why they're doing it, I mean, you'd have to listen to some of their points. There's no two ways about it. All these moral grey areas. I'm really glad this show is investigating all of these things. But yeah, I hope the Flag Smashers eventually get their asses handed to them. But saying that, what was in those trucks? If it was vaccines and they're getting those vaccines to people who needed it, I mean, that's a good thing, surely. Then what if those vaccines was actually more super soldier serum? I mean, both things are possible, aren't they? And they've pissed off the Power Broker. The Power Broker is multiple people in the Marvel Universe, taken on by multiple identities. So yeah, I'm not entirely too sure who the Power Broker is going to be in this series, but I'll be interested to find out. Oh, sorry, one last thing. Bucky refers to himself as the White Wolf. Now, if you don't know, the White Wolf is, from the comics, he is T'Challa's white adopted brother. But yeah, all in all, yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving the issues they're slowly covering. They're not over egging the pudding too quickly. They're not giving us too much too quickly. When the episode ended, I was heartbroken it had ended so quickly. But yeah, I can't wait for Friday to watch the next one. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the episode, and this Fireman, we'll see you later.